Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Google's Duplex is getting unleashed, sort of. The surprisingly human-like AI will go through limited public testing. If you remember, Google showed off Duplex at I.O., having it call a restaurant and make a reservation, and it felt scary human with ums and likes and awkward pauses. What do you think? You freaked out?
I can't wait for the all AI podcast that will eventually happen. Where
The
it's like,
359 brought to you by Google and Duplex. Hosted by
I don't know
Duplex.
what you think. How do you feel about this?
I don't know. Yeah, this could go on. We could a lot.
That's basically the new AI podcast. But I don't think I'm creeped out by it. I don't think I'm gonna get calls from I hope that the way that it rolls out eventually, like once it's everywhere, is that basically an opt-in kind of scenario. Like basically, don't call me with AI unless I give you approval to, which is how it's rolling out right now. There's 5 different restaurants around the area.
I know they said they were going to notify people that this was Duplex. This wasn't AI.
The call starts with "Hi, this is a Google Assistant. I'm calling to see if I can make a reservation."
Man, that's still kind of creepy. It's like, hi. And it makes it even worse. It's like, I know this is an assistant now, and it sounds eerily human.
I don't have a problem with it.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Makes things easier for me. I don't have to call anybody to do this kind of stuff.
I know millennials hate to call people. They just don't like talking on the phone.
One of those things, why would you have the assistant do that? Why can't I just have an online portal to do that? Make a reservation
like Open Table?
Yeah, something like that. But
that's why
through
I use
Google,
Open Table.
yeah.
All right, next up, we want to talk about the BlackBerry Key2. Jessica Dolcourt has a review out, and unsurprisingly, this is a phone for physical keyboard diehards. I had a chance to play with it. The keyboard definitely was better, but it wasn't enough to get me to switch from an all-screen format.
I used to be a keyboard diehard years ago, to the point where I think I had a phone with a keyboard up until 2014.
Oh wow!
It was a pretty recent. It was just one of those things that it was just I really enjoyed being able to type without looking.
Yep.
And I could just walk down the street and respond
to
text.
Do you find that you can now type on your screen without looking?
Yes.
Yeah. I've kind of, for a while that blew my mind, and then all of a sudden I was just like that people were doing it, but then now I've been able to do it.
But I still have to check to see what I wrote is actually what I wanted to write. On a keyboard, it was always just I know what I sent.
So for the few fans of BlackBerry out there, this is a worthy upgrade if you're into BlackBerries with physical keyboards. Otherwise, go ahead and skip.
Yep.
So we want to talk about smartwatches. The market may be kind of a bust unless you're the Apple Watch. Everything else is kind of meh. But Qualcomm sees a lot of potential in kids wearing them and actually introduced a new processor, a new platform for children's smartwatches.
With the processors for kids?
Yeah. Well, the processor will power. It's a platform to power smartwatches designed specifically for kids.
So, are they really targeting kids, or are they targeting parents who want their kids wearing that?
Excellent question. I think they're really targeting parents who want some sort of wearable that they can track their kids with. These are watches with a built-in LTE connection, definitely more power efficient than the watches that we're getting. So they're not super sophisticated, but they do the job in terms of keeping track of your kids.
Yeah, I think their biggest challenge will be keeping it cheap and keeping it durable. I'm sure kids break everything, and
True.
I really wouldn't trust putting a $150 smartwatch on
Would you
child.
trust a $30 or $40 one?
Probably, yeah. But I would also have to know how often does it break.
True.
Yeah.
No, these things will definitely have to be durable. It's funny, they actually make up half the market already. They're
nice.
mostly out of China, so that says a lot for the smartwatch market. For more of these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for listening. Music's getting more and more dramatic all the time.
Not bad, not bad.
Just like our life.
Oh yeah. My life today has been relatively drama-free thanks to Slack being down.
My drama today didn't even involve Slack. It was on the train. If you saw my tweet this morning.
I did not.
There was a man squeezed in with me on the subway.
Oh, in the seat?
No, not on a seat. I was standing up, and he gets in on the train, and I don't know why, but he picks the spot right next to me, makes a 90-degree angle with his shoulder and my shoulder. and he's just there. He's like he's squeezed up on me.
Was there space elsewhere?
Yeah, there was space elsewhere. I mean,
So
there
really-
wasn't at the time, but then once space opened up, he stayed there, and I realized both of us were too stubborn to move because this is our spot. So I spent 45 minutes there, like tuna in a can with this guy, even though there was like space elsewhere.
Just because you didn't want to back
It was
down?
my space. I was there first.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that awkward moment.
Yeah, it was
this
really
morning.
nice.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the principle.
Well, to
of
whoever
things.
was on that train with Alfred, I thank you for that story.
All right, so as per usual, we're going to jump into the chat and start taking your questions and comments. The first one that really caught my eye is from Catherine Emma, who says, I have children, and I think this will take off. This is obviously in reference to the smartwatch initiative put forward by Qualcomm. Catherine, we'd like to hear you elaborate on this a little bit and what you think is going to be beneficial to you as a parent, and what you think other parents could actually take away from this. Roger, you're a parent.
Yeah,
Not to Alfred.
Well, no, another follow-up question, like, if you don't mind, how old are your kids, and what age do you feel that slapping a smartwatch on them is appropriate? Because I have a 2-year-old right now, and he's too young for this, but there's going to be some point where I'm going to have a debate with my wife about whether or not these smartwatches are actually going to be useful.
I was just thinking about this like one kids tech event that I went to like a year ago, where they had all these tablets and stuff for kids, but then they had this whole other section just for like smartwatches for like kids and stuff.
Yep.
And all these parents that were at the event talking, I was like, this is really helpful because like I know where my kid is after school. If there's an emergency, I can contact them directly that way without all like the issues that come with like having a smartphone. Because that's essentially why parents get smartphones for their kids.
Right.
But they were also like, oh, I don't want them on Facebook or like Instagram all the time. With like a smartwatch, you really get all the advantages of that, but without having like them being distracted on social media and all this stuff all the time. And I also noticed that during Apple's event, when they announced all those updates to the Apple Watch, that was very family oriented. They were
definitely.
The walkie-talkie feature had like these two siblings using it with each other.
Although I can't picture, even like when my kid's a teenager, like buying him a $300-$400 Apple Watch.
Yeah.
That just, I don't know.
I can picture that because by the time I have a teenager, I'll probably be very rich. So
Not with this job, you won't.
Let's continue to elaborate on this. Isaac Tan says SOS is great, especially when the kids are starting to go to school on their own.
Oh, yeah.
Life improvement cites that GPS tracking for your child could potentially be beneficial. And Raphael is asking if you guys, in your opinion, think that this will really kind of pan out and work as far as I'm taking it from the marketing perspective. Because as we said, smartwatches, they're not new. But directing them, targeting them at kids, is that going to give a shot in the arm to this industry?
Well, I think they're already working in China, as I said. It's making up almost half the market already. I mean, I think it's a relatively easy pitch to parents, I think, universally, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea that this thing will give you location information, and there are apps that do this. If you've got if your kid has a smartphone already, there are things that do that. But for that kind of middle age between when they're a little too young for a smartwatch, like a big, colorful, very tough, resistant smartwatch might be a good alternative. And like there are plenty of apps that sort of take advantage of that location, right? The idea that if your kid leaves the school zone, you get an alert.
Mm-hmm.
If the kid's in a place that he or she isn't supposed to be, you get an alert. Like that stuff is pretty useful. It's pretty easy sell.
All this stuff like makes sense in theory though, but like in practice, I'm having a hard time seeing this play out with like no kid wants to be tracked all the time by their parent. Like
Well, look, that's the thing. Like the idea is like you have to wear if you want that level of freedom, like you have to wear that watch. I think that's ultimately what it is. Like you're probably thinking from a 16, 17-year-old perspective. I'm thinking from like a 9 or 10-year-old perspective. Like where they're a little too young to really say, F this, I'm going to take the watch off.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I thought I was pretty clever when I was like 12 in the sense like
You really weren't, dude.
I know, but it was just one of those things where it was just like, I was just like, if I were like a 12-year-old kid, I would just say like the battery on it died or something.
Right.
Like
I'm sure
that's why you can't track me.
I'm sure there are workarounds for it.
Yeah.
But
The
I
school
think
bully robbed me.
they stole my
which
my
is
smartwatch.
another thing to think about. Like, what if like school bullies are like stealing these and like using them to sell for like?
Well, that's a whole nother problem then that you can address with the school. That's not. It's not like, oh well,
I'm just
Okay,
saying,
the bully took your watch. I guess we're done with that.
No, I'm just saying that there are factors like in like kids' lives that like might not really be considered here when you're
Maybe.
yeah.
It depends again on the age, right? Like if you're 6 or 7, 9 or 10, I don't know. Like I think those are less of an issue as versus if you were in later in junior high or high school.
Yeah,
But
I guess they'd have to be marketed on like some sort of like TV show or cartoon that was like, we made this whole cartoon just to sell toys to kids, but now it's smartwatches.
there you go. That's Transformers and G.I. Joe
Yeah,
right there.
but now with smartwatches.
So is that going to be the next Kid Craze TV show, like Pokemon, but they're watches?
Yeah, their watches
You
yeah.
gotta collect them all.
Oh my god.
Oh my God, that's how they do it, though. They make
That-
it cool and collectible and give
That's
them like
true.
customizable bands.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
but now
that's
it's
how you get the
tracking.
kids on the hook, because then they become a fashion accessory. Because remember when like lanyards were cool,
No.
and like Pogs were cool,
Pogs.
No.
and
They're
baggy
back.
jeans were cool. Pogs are back in Pog form. Hey, a longtime listener, APEC, points out that they have a kid starting in kindergarten this year. Congratulations. Good luck with
congrats.
this next major chapter in your life. And that they actually like the smartwatch idea. The problem is, will they wear it and keep it on? And
Yeah, that's
let's-
Alfred's
not.
point.
yeah, let's keep this conversation going. See what other incentivized programs we can put into it, from making them customizable, making them palatable to kids, make it a toy.
Right, if you're
then
making
the
it
next
cool,
thing
you
you
make
got to
it
worry
so
about
they
saying, like,
is if
look,
they're
as a-
trading it for lunch money.
And also, maybe it's the way you present it to your kid, right? You don't present it
Yeah.
as a tracker. You present it as like, here's this cool new gadget or new toy.
Nah, as a kid that never listened to my parents, I'm just like, I probably would have never wanted this thing. But like, if
right.
my parents gave it to me, it'd
Were
have
you-
to be
were-
something
but-
that like I bought on my own.
At what point, though, do you never listen to your parents, even when you were 6 or 7?
I don't know, probably
So,
not.
like, I would say there's an age threshold where like this will work, and maybe you're right. Like after they get into junior high or they get into their teens, like this is no longer effective anymore.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it would have to be done with like, oh, this is like cool. Like Drake is wearing this, so you should
All
wear
right,
this
so
too.
just get Drake to wear it.
yeah, just basically
Qualcomm.
That'd do it.
Qualcomm. You get Drake to wear these watches
and have his dad try
have
to
like
find
4
him.
or 5. That's right. And then have his dad track him and be like, "Yo, kids, that's cool. It's cool. My dad tracks me."
See, if I had this, I wouldn't keep it on, because I was the kid who was like constantly taking his pants off. And
Yeah, exactly.
So,
See,
like-
Brian knows what I'm talking about.
it's a good
Gotcha.
thing no one can see below the table here,
Right,
'cause,
right,
you know,
right.
like
Because that habit never went away.
Life Improvement says GPS tracking for your child sounds a little like a kid house arrest. Isaac Tan says for those worried about kids losing the watch, there should be a sensor to send an alert when it is taken off.
Oh, that's
These
an
are
interesting point.
hard to balance ideas. Like, good idea on one point, but also a little spooky, a little stalkery.
Totally. I think, well, as a parent, I think I'm erring definitely on the stalkery side.
I mean,
point.
they're your kids.
Yeah.
You do anything to protect them.
That's exactly it. You know what? And even if they don't use them, I feel like parents will still buy them, even if they don't
Yeah.
necessarily work.
They can just buy them and say, like, this is a watch. Like, here you
Yeah,
go.
here's a cool watch. Well, look, so this, just for further context, this processor does support Android Wear, which, okay, maybe it's not that cool. It supports a 5 megapixel camera. It supports LTE, as I said, Android O.
This is out now?
No, the processors just got released, so
Okay.
you can imagine products coming using
Okay.
this platform. I don't know, 12 months from
Did
now.
they give the $30 to $40 price range, or was that like
No,
an estimate on your
I think
end?
that's an estimate on my end.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it would have to be, and imagine the ones that are successful in China are relatively cheap.
Yeah, I'd buy that. I'd track myself.
Oh, I went here this afternoon. Awesome.
Question from Channing Che for Alfred. Would you actually trust a $40 smartwatch to be a very smart watch?
No, also that thing would have
$150.
terrible security. They're like,
Oh,
that would get
yeah.
hacked like immediately.
That's a fantastic point.
I guess that's the other point too. Like, there's a lot. If like all that data out there on your children, like if it's that cheap, they better have like a very good security team.
Right.
Which most of the times, if it's cheap,
I mean,
it probably won't.
You know what? It would be a good play for Google,
Yeah.
frankly, if
And
they were
that-
to make their own kid watch.
That being said, like it probably won't have its own like LTE signal or anything like that. Like it'd probably have to connect to your like,
No. That's the whole
Oh,
point
really?
of this chip.
No, but you're not gonna get that for your kid. Like you're
Oh,
gonna
you're
pay
not
for the
paying
extra
for it?
phone line. Like,
Well, I think it depends on the business model. Like, if I were smart, if I were Google, I'm not smart or Google. I mean, I create a cheap smartwatch because they can create cheap products really effectively. have the LTE be built in, like have the track. Basically, you cover it just like Amazon covered for the Kindle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if they could just do what Kindle does, where it's like just like a 2G connection, so it gets what it needs
just
to.
does the location thing, and Google pays for it. You don't have to worry about it. And I think that would sell like gangbusters.
And you wouldn't have to like pay for it.
Exactly,
like,
there wouldn't be a monthly subscription. You just pay for the watch, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, security is still an issue, but I don't.
But if it was a company like Google behind it, like, at least you'd be a little bit more confident,
be much
right?
safer, yeah.
But you're right. A lot of these watches, probably the $40 watch.
Yeah, I mean, look at what happened
may
with
not be that safe. The toys.
No. What was that runner like? It wasn't Fitbit, but it was like something similar to Strava.
Oh yeah,
with all that data that was available.
Yeah.
I think just from my perspective here, and not having kids, but growing up in a very small, tight community town that was a nice place to grow up, felt safe, and the world changes, the world has gotten scarier. I like this idea as an option better than the alternative, which is parents putting chips in their kids, or like they put chips in their pets now sometimes too for tracking.
Like wait, what do you mean in their pets? Like embedded under the skin?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like the size of like a rice grain.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't embed a chip in my kid.
I mean, it's an option. Like people can do it. I'm saying I like this better. That's all.
Definitely. Well, there's that or the actual physical leashes.
Oh God, kid on a leash.
Kid on a leash.
That is the saddest thing you ever seen.
I know. I looked at it and I'm like, that's so sad and terrible. But like watching my kid, my 2-year-old run around like crazy now, I'm like, that leash idea doesn't sound that terrible.
Just get him rollerblades or something.
He's 2. He's not gonna rollerblade.
Exactly. So he won't be able to.
He'll
run
just
around.
like slip and fall.
Yeah, and then he'll just stay there.
You're saying trap his feet.
We actually got him a scooter, and he just flies away basically.
Was it one of those electric scooters from?
Yes,
SF?
it's an electric scooter, of course.
All right, let's move on to Duplex for a second. Michael Brown says, do you think Google Duplex will work within the Google Assistant on iOS?
Oh, that's a great question.
It is.
It probably will at some point.
Down the line. I mean, they're still testing this. This is like really, really early days for Duplex. But I imagine once it's sort of a core part of Google Assistant, it'll get moved over to iOS.
Yeah, it's not even that available on like most Android phones. Yeah, it's not
available at all. It's just it's a very limited public trial right now.
And as far as the credentials go to participate in that public trial, how are people selected for that? Are they like first-time, big-time users? Are there like celebrity clientele that are being recruited? Because Nicholas wants to know, when will we be able to start using Google Duplex?
The program is more so about, it's not like selecting people to use Duplex. It's selecting restaurants and like locations that will accept it.
That are open to receiving the calls.
Yeah, to receiving the calls.
Yeah.
As far as like using Duplex, I am not sure.
And in terms of the limitations right now, it's over the coming weeks is the time frame. But software will be used to confirm business and holiday hours, open and close times for the 4th of July. Booking reservations. Yeah, this is basically very limited stuff. I think the idea is to keep it fairly limited, keep it simple for interactions. I mean, Duplex needs more data.
Learn more.
Exactly. It needs to learn so it gets better, mimics us way better so they can replace us.
Yeah, eventually.
It's going to happen.
Jay Zaniga 81. Can I get Google Duplex to talk to my mother on the holidays?
I don't know how long that conversation would last. I think unless your mother was a really
is your mother
talker.
Also artificial intelligence?
No, but if she kept talking, I think Duplex could handle that because it would just be like,
yeah, that's how most of my conversations go too.
With your parents? Yeah. Well, with me, frankly.
I would love to see that as our initial test whenever we get it in the office here, is just see how long it can have a natural conversation that's not necessarily like a client-based, like a booking thing, trying to get a hair appointment or whatever they demoed when they unveiled it.
Right.
Just see how long we can trick like John Falcone into thinking that I'm on the phone.
It's Crank Yankers, but with AI.
And it's not. There's Ashton Kutcher's next
funny.
show.
It's just yeah. Okay.
Taking your polls in the chat. Who should we crank call with Google Duplex?
Ooh, I like that one.
All right. So to close things out, let's talk about BlackBerry. Bill says no one takes BlackBerry seriously anymore.
Yeah. Again, to be clear, this is not the BlackBerry company in Canada. This is TCL. Makes TVs. They make Alcatel phones, and now they're making Blackberries. But yeah, it's hard to take them seriously now. They were once, the number 2 smartphone maker in the world, but it's a long, long way from those days at this point.
So
I mean,
how long do you think until they abandon the whole physical keyboard thing?
They're
being that-
not.
They're not.
Yeah,
That's their
they're
thing.
leaning heavily into it now.
Yeah.
They tried abandoning it before, right? They're like, no, we make smartphones now, and they're like,
I don't think they ever truly abandoned the idea of physical keyboards.
but they've made phones.
They've
with that.
made
Yeah.
all touchscreen phones, but they've always been sort of like a side project as opposed
Yeah.
to like the core BlackBerry
Honestly,
phone.
I appreciate it. They know who they are. They're gonna stick with it. You know, like it's not me that needs to change. It's everyone else. You
Well,
know,
I
that's
think
a philosophy I can
I
appreciate.
do like the idea that this is sort of like forget the mainstream, forget most people. We're just going to build the best keyboard phone for folks who like keyboards. No matter how small an audience that is, that's what we're going after.
It's like those the folks that built the best horse carriages after Ford came along. It was just,
There
you
you
know
go.
what?
But you got to give them respect. You know, they're
There are
doing their
still
thing.
horse carriages in New York City.
There
So
are. It's a fairly niche business. But
who's
it
the
still
loser
exists.
now?
So what you're saying is the BlackBerry is going to become a tourist novelty.
Oh God, yeah.
Ooh, no, it could be a novelty.
Come to our museum and check out the phone with a keyboard.
When will BlackBerry be the new Zach Morris phone?
Ooh, or is it already?
I don't think it ever will be. I feel like the Sidekick was the Zach Morris phone because that's like the
No.
quintessential keyboard phone.
I don't know about that. I feel like the Sidekick, it hit a certain generation, but it wasn't like
But it also-
extremely popular.
But it also had like the unique look. I mean, like the
It did have a
brick
unique
phone
look.
wasn't also extremely popular.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I feel like it didn't hit the public consciousness. Maybe because I wasn't the right age for
Mm-hmm.
those Sidekick phones.
It was for me.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Roger, before we wrap it up, do you know what BlackBerry's market share is by chance?
Oh, I believe it is like 0.02%.
Oh, ouch.
I believe.
So not really a share.
It's not
more
really
like
a share.
crumb.
I mean, I think they sold like 100,000, not even 100,000. It's pretty low, like last year. Keep in mind, like most handset makers sell phones in the millions per quarter, and I would hazard a guess that they probably sold about 100,000 last year.
That's a lot of keyboards.
Hey, man, bless their hearts for trying. Like you said, they were a powerhouse back in the day, but they've kind of gone the way of Yahoo and AOL. And,
Right. And look,
But, I mean, that was the Obama phone for a while. He was a big cheerleader
that's
of
true.
that.
Yeah.
That's true.
It was in a Jay-Z line.
True.
He called it Blueberry, though. There's the line, it's on Encore from the Black Album.
Okay.
He says, out the country, but the blueberry still connects.
Roger,
He
it's
thought
okay.
that it
I
was
don't know
called-
that music either. I'm
He
too
thought
old.
it was called, he thought the phone was a blueberry.
Well, for a while, the Kardashians, they couldn't
Yeah,
live without
that
their
too.
Blackberries either. So there are still some folks who still cling to it.
Life Improvement says BlackBerry and Windows should combine forces. That'd be interesting.
Oh my God. That would be, it's like the combination of like two also rans doesn't make a better company. It just makes another slightly larger also ran.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think Microsoft needs to take that hit.
yeah. I mean, we spent years covering the rise and fall of Windows Mobile or Windows Phone. So it's, yeah, that Windows Phone and BlackBerry getting together is it's not going to help anyone.
What if the NYPD starts using Blackberries?
Good news, guys. We got new phones. They're all Blackberries.
They're not Windows phones anymore. They're
right.
Blackberries now. No, they use iPhones now, though, which,
Yeah.
they all have iPhone
And look,
7s.
these phones are, to be fair, these phones are Android phones. They're not like on their own kind of island operating system. They do use Android. They're keyboards at a time when people don't want keyboards. They want their full screen, right?
So one more question before we wrap it up from our neighbor to the north, Ryan Williams. So where does BlackBerry in Canada come into play with this? Are they still around?
Yeah, so that's a great question. BlackBerry Limited is still around, still thriving. It sells business software, security software. It does actually secure this phone. The Android operating system actually, I think, runs through the BlackBerry servers and is secured and hardened there before it goes to these TCL-built phones. So BlackBerry's still around. Their software powers smart cars, and they still do a lot of security stuff. They're not in the consumer mindset. They're all about business now, so that's why we don't really talk about them that often.
That's a powerful review. What's BlackBerry up to these days? They're around.
They're around.
All
They're
right.
kicking.
We are out of time. We'll be back tomorrow with more 359 goodness. And on that note, Roger, you want to take us on out of here?
Yeah, if you liked anything you saw or heard here, check us out on CNET. Our podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, and the Amazon Alexa.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you
y'all tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Good thing.